Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Joffrey Noodle Legs here again today with another horror video. Today we're going through my top 10 original one-offs, I've called it. Now, I think there is one or two in here that have sort of spawned some sort of sequels, but the story was really original, and it's like when I say one-off, it doesn't necessarily mean the only film of that type. I mean that only, but it means it was like it kind of like was a real um, original story. It was like a one-off, as a lot of horror films tend to follow the same sort of pattern, you know, like your zombie films or your serial killer films or slasher films. They all tend to sort of have the same sort of ingredients. Now these ones here I think were different, and they were more of original storylines. I mean, The Omen was original storyline, but then you had The Exorcist, which is really similar. And you know, I mean, it's sort of like I'm trying to pick films that I thought were original stories and I've not really come across before. Some would go in genres, but they were a different version of that sort of film. Like this, I'm going to go with three honourable mentions first. Like this one, for instance, is a serial killer film, and I've already spoke about it. And that's Sightseers, but it was such a different way of actually take on a serial killer film, like this sort of a odd couple going on like a road trip in like a caravan. I just thought, yeah, that's really, really cool. I like that. And it was quite funny. So that's an honourable mention, is Sightseers, because it's a great, great film as a original sort of film. Another original film, there's lots of films about witchcraft, but the Witch was really original because it sort of like went back to like New England, uh, and it spoke in Old English, and the way it was sort of portrayed was really sort of bleak and sort of really, you know, you actually felt like you were there at that time. It was like, you know, you got no money, you're poor, and you know, he was pretty much living off the land, and you know, it had that sort of feel to it. So it was different. I mean, other great witch films like The Blair Witch and all these were fantastic films. But obviously, The Blair Witch was a found footage film, and there's been a few of those. Obviously, The Last Broadcast, Cannibal Holocaust. But this was like original. I've not seen anything like this before, and so that's why it's got an honourable mention. Another honourable mention, and I spoke about this not so long ago. I think I talked about it when I was talking about oh, can't remember what video I did, but I said to you, when I find it, I'll dig it out and I'll show you it. But again, it's another original film, and it's House of the Devil. This is a really fantastic film. I think I've mentioned it in the slasher films. I'm sure it was. Um, this is a bit like a sort of babysitter sort of film, but again, it was filmed so originally. Why I mean that is, it's like some other films, but it's quite a modern film. But it's filmed like it was made in the 1970s, and it actually feels like it was made then. So that makes that original to me. Um, and it's quite a scary film actually. House of the Devil. I really highly recommend this film. Out of modern horrors, this is one of my favourite horror films, like the modern horrors. House of the Devil. Check it out if you've never seen it. Don't go in thinking, oh, you know, because it's a modern one, it's going to be full of special effects and things. It's, like I said, it's like a 1970s horror film. If you're watching it, you think, this isn't a new film, it's old. But no, it's a new film. House of the Devil. They're my honourable mentions. So now we're going to go to my top 10 original one-offs. At number 10, this is a Wes Craven film, which I really like, and it's called The Serpent and the Rainbow. Again, this is more based around sort of voodoo and sort of like voodoo witchcraft. And I've never seen anything like it when it came out. It's I really like this film. It's quite a slow moving film, and it is very, very 80s, but with the sort of like the haircuts and the costumes and that. But it's a really different story and a different take on a horror film, which I really, really liked. If you've not seen it, check it out. It's about going. I can't remember the name of the actor. It would come to me. Trying to see if I can see it on the box. Bill Pullman, that's it. He goes and investigates this island. I think it's in the sort of like Haiti sort of area, and where they've found a way of, I don't know if it's a medicine that sort of raises the sort of dead back to life. So it's all like around sort of voodoo and you know, voodoo witch and things like this, and it's really really strange film, and it goes down a different route than what you think it does. It's a really really good film. Like I say, it is quite a slow watch, but once it gets going, it really does, and it's got some quite good effects in there. If you're into your sort of witchcraft, voodoo, that's the film for you. The Serpent. There's not enough voodoo films. I mean, I just don't think there's enough of them, really, to be honest. I think it's one of the genres that doesn't get a big sort of following that films made about it. There was another one I really liked, but again, I can't even put my name to. I can't even put a name to it because I can't even find it. I've got it, I just can't put my name to it. But we'll carry on. There we go. Number 9 of my original and one-off sort of films. In the 80s, there was a kind of phrase, a sort of people like in films that they call melting films. So I'm putting Street Trash in there because this was a really original sort of story. Is it a horror comedy? Yeah, I suppose it is. It's a quite a bleak film. It's sort of based around these sort of hobos. I don't know if it's in New York or wherever it's based, and it's like these hobos that get hold of this sort of like cheap whiskey or liquor, whatever you call it, but it's actually, I don't, the actual whiskey and stuff that they're drinking actually makes them melt. So it's a really different sort of film. It is quite gory. Well, it's very gory actually. I'm not sure if it made the video nasty list. If it did, it'd probably be number 3 or number 2, the video nasty list. But yeah, it's a melting film, they call it. And there's another really good one. I just got over there. I watched it the other day, The Incredible Melting Man. But this was like, yeah, there's a famous one on the toilet. Okay, the guy sitting on a toilet sort of melts into the toilet. It's gory, but it's not, because it's like all the gore sort of green and blue, if you know what I mean. So it's a real fun watch. If you want a sort of fun movie with your mates, few beers, Street Trash is your film. That's number 9. Number 8. Now, this is a fantastic film. Doesn't get talked about a lot, and it's and I will include this because I will do a video on sort of devils, demons, and sort of ghosts, and it belongs in there. And this is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Now, this is in here. Yes, it's another exorcism film, you know, Omen exorcism film, but this is a different one. It's original way. It's an original take on it, because this is sort of like kind of semi-based after the events, of which Emily Rose is a victim to, and it's a courtroom drama, and it sort of has flashbacks to the sort of when they're talking about the case, and this is pretty much about a priest who's trying to prove himself that he did the right thing, because obviously it was unsuccessful, the exorcism he was performing, but he had to he went to court to sort of like and I believe it's based on a true story. Yeah, I think this actually happened, and he had to go to court because and sort of like prove that what he did was for the best for Emily Rose. Although it might not have got the result, but what he was doing was for the best of Emily Rose. Amazing film. If you've never seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose, you need to check that out today or this week. Slow film, but it's amazing. It's very atmospheric, and it captures just captures the sense of like haunting sort of film. It's an absolute must watch. Okay, that's my number 8. Number 7 doesn't get talked about very much. It's a John Carpenter film, Prince of Darkness. Now, I put this in as an original one-off because it sort of approaches it's sort of based on this sort of liquid, which is really, it's such a bizarre film. It's based on this sort of liquid that's found inside the church, which is supposed to be a source of the devil, and it's sort of like, yeah, it's like the contact of the Prince of Darkness through this liquid, and a group of scientists go in. Obviously, Donald Pleasance is in it again. John Carpenter and Donald Pleasance must have been best buddies. But yeah, and it's a very haunting sort of film, and it is quite a slow film. But it's in this sort of liquid. A couple of the scientists come into contact with it all and digest it, and they turn sort of evil. And it's sort of like outside, the local townspeople will almost come sort of semi-zombie like. It's got a sort of it's a really, really good film, and it's got like a sort of little part in there for Alice Cooper as well in there, which is he's one of the residents, and he's quite creepy in the film. But yeah, it's a really creepy film, and in the end they try and keep this sort of liquid inside this church. They don't want it getting out. Prince of Darkness is a really, really good film, and that's really cool. That's my number 7. Number 6. This is more of a modern film. It stars. It's from Christopher Smith, who made Creep and Severance, both really good films. And this is called Triangle. I really like this film. It's another strange sort of haunting sort of film. It's like a sort of like a haunted boat, and the film sort of loops the story. You know, I mean, the girl in there, and the story sort of loops around, and every time she goes around the boat, it's a different story. It's like one of those sort of films that loops, and it's different every time. You know, and I just think that was so original, and I really, really enjoyed that film. Again, it's not the most gory of films or anything like that, but it plays with your head, and I actually really like Triangle. That's in at number 6. So we go to my top 5. This is another sort of modern film. Again, it's another one that sort of plays with your head a lot, and it's called It Follows. This is another strange story. It's about this, what's the word I'm looking for? Not possession, it's like a curse, and it's a curse where you get followed by somebody, and the only way to get rid of that curse before it kills you is to pass the curse on to someone else. And it's like that. Yeah, not like Final Destination sort of curse. It's a really, really weird film, but it's really scary. I actually found this quite a scary film. Yeah, not a lot of gore in there or anything like that. It's just really scary. Yeah, so this girl there, her boyfriend passes the curse on to her. Nice guy, huh? Anyway, and her friends try to protect her from the curse. Then they start seeing things from it. It's a really, really weird film. A really good film. Because I don't think she wants to pass the curse on to anyone else. One of her friends volunteers, etc. But yeah, it's a good film. It Follows. Number 4. It's a nice wacky one here. It's a bit of a comedy horror, but I love it. Such a good film. And that's Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Again, totally original. This is the Arrow release of it, and it's a really, really good release. Again, the title tells you what the film's about. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a very out there sort of film. You're at a fair, and the next thing you're in a spaceship. It's a very strange film. Watch it, okay, to understand it. You've come out and you'll still say, well, what the hell was that about? But it was great. Really, really good fun film. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, in at my number 4. Number 3, I don't see this very often on a lot of people's lists, and it's a really, really good horror film. It's got Ray Wise in it, and Lynn Shy. It's a really, really good film, and it's called Dead End. This is a really cool film. It's about a father, a mother, their son and daughter making this road trip on this dead end road. It just goes on forever, and it's like a haunted road, and I think they knock someone over. They go investigate it. They start getting one by one getting killed off and possessed by it. I think the girl's got a boyfriend with her who gets killed too, and then you see this weird hearse go by with the person that's been killed in the back of it. The mother goes doolally. It's a really good film. It's a fun watch. Um, it can be a little bit gory. It's not too bad, but it's a really original story. I've never seen any film like it. When I watched it, I thought, wow, that was a great horror film. This is what horror films should be about. It's like twisted, um, horrible, a little bit of fun in there, a bit of light humour, you know, dark humour, just to make it a bit more sort of bearable to watch, not just so depressing. But it's a really good fun film. Dead End is my third favourite original. Now, number two, this did go on to spawn sequels, but I put it in there because it was an original story when it came out, and that's Mimic. I absolutely love this one, especially the first one. It's based about these giant cockroaches. Now, if you're an invertebrate lover like myself, then it's already got your head spinning. Wow, I love them. And it's about these sort of giant cockroachy sort of people that live in the sewers. And this young boy who's got, I think he's got some form of autism, sort of starts communicating with them with spoons because he can replicate the sound of these cockroaches. These cockroaches are killers, by the way. They're like, it's a monster film, and they kill, and then they kidnap the boy and the boy's father, and people that are the police that are investigating the killings go down looking for the boy and come across these cockroaches. Yeah, it's a really good film. Please watch Mimic. It's made by the Del Toro, who made Pan's Labyrinth and all these really fantasy, beautifully shot films. This is beautifully shot. He made Pan's Labyrinth, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, all those sort of films. You know, great films. He's a good director. Yeah, watch that Mimic if you've never seen it. It's a great monster flick. Number one is another monster flick, and I've had it in one of my videos before, but I think it's the most original horror film I've seen, and that is Troll Hunter. I absolutely love this film. It sort of follows like a bunch of students that are making a film about this guy who a lot of the country looking for him as a criminal, but they believe he's doing something different, and they find out he's a troll hunter, and they go on a sort of wild trip with him to find trolls, as you can see one there. Yeah, this is a really bizarre, amazing film. It's Norwegian, so it's subtitled, but again, why would you want it in English or any other language? Because that's where these sort of trolls originate from. They're the sort of like the fairy tale story and mythology of trolls is from Norway. So why would you want to be anything different? And it adds to the film, and it adds to the sort of tense of the film. Beautifully shot, although a lot of it seems like it's on camcorder, but it's beautifully shot. Got some amazing views of Norway. If you don't want to go to Norway after seeing this film, then yeah, Troll Hunter, that is my favourite original one-off film. Watch it, guys. It's brilliant, and it's good fun. It's got some comedy in it as well. Well, it would have to be, wouldn't it, because trolls. Yeah, there you go. They're my originals, and I think there's some good films in there that I think you really must check out, especially Troll Hunter. I think you really must see that. Exorcist of Emily Rose, you must watch, and Mimic if you've never seen those. Any of those films will give you a good time. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave the video there. Again, as I always give a little shout out to Horror Hands and Horror Geek. Check out their channels for me, please. I'm not sure what top 10 I'm going to do next. Maybe disturbing films. I might go down that route. Or horror comedies. Put down below what you'd like me to sort of like go through. Or even westerns, if you want me to do a few westerns. But until next time, guys, you look after yourselves, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.